I'm Jailyn. I'm going to be doing an honest opinion review vlogish on Fidm, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. Yeah, that's it. So I'm a beauty major and I'm going into my second year now. And before I went to Fidm, there were a lot of expectations, and then I got hit with a lot of realities that I wish I would have known, and a lot of things that Fidm doesn't cover, and a lot of things people don't tell you about Fidm. So I just want to tell people and let them know Fidm's an amazing school. It gave me so many opportunities. It's still giving me so many opportunities. So, but the pricing, the extras, the class setups are so different. The price setups, the dorming, the this, the that is so different from the traditional setup. I've done on my laptop, so if I look that way, that's what I'm doing. So my major is beauty industry, merchandising, and marketing. For me, I went to cosmetology school during high school, so I'm licensed, I worked at salons, and I was really intrigued about the behind the scenes of salons. So that's why I decided, okay, if I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna go for a major that I really, really love and things that I really, really want to do. So when I found Fidm and I found this beauty program, I was like, that's where I'm going. And I'm from New Jersey, so right next to New Jersey is New York, and there's FIT, but I was like, too close. I wanted that true out-of-state experience, true far away from home. I wanted to be on my own. So Fidm, getting accepted. So Fidm, you have to do a portfolio. A portfolio, every major is different. There's a ton of majors. Mine was beauty, so I had to create a beauty product. Actually created. Put the layout of it, tell its demographics, who you're trying to sell to, this and that, color schemes, why people would buy it, age range, a bunch of different things. And then you have to write a 2-page paper about your goals in the future. You need letters of recommendations, you need SAT scores, you have to send that all over. Luckily, I had Richard was my advisor, so when it was time, I didn't have a high GPA, I didn't have a high SAT scores. Actually, my high school GPA was a 1.7 and my SAT scores were about an 830, 850. I was definitely below average, but I still, well, my GPA came from my freshman year and sophomore year of high school where I didn't really care. It wasn't until sophomore year of high school when I went to cosmetology school, so I started to be like, oh, I need to have a future. I need to do better. But I was still more, but luckily Richard, he was really, really good. I did a really good portfolio and he walked me through step by step. So things I needed to improve on in my portfolio, I sent it. He was like, no, redo this. I sent it back. He worked with me really, really well and I was really appreciative. I started applying to Fidm in my senior year of high school in December. So by December, I had already applied to multiple colleges. I applied to a lot of HBCUs in the down south area. But once I found out about Fidm, I applied. So here's the thing, Fidm. When you're starting to apply, just to type your name for them to call you back and stuff like that, you have to pay $25. So once I looked it up, at first, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try. You have to show them that you're interested. They were like, okay, pay $25. I was like, okay, that's a gag, but whatever. So you pay the $25. The $25 for them just to call you, and that's Richard who got in touch with me, but there's multiple advisors, so you'll have someone different or maybe the same. So he called me, he told me this, that about Fidm. He explained the whole rundown and this and that. So I said, okay, sounds good. So one thing I can say about Richard though, every time I would call, every time I wanted to speak to him, he always knew. I'd be like, hi, I'm Jailyn. So he'd be like, oh, Jailyn, okay, and pulled out my paperwork and everything right away. So I had a great experience with that. Like I said, I started in December. I was kind of what's the word? I took my time. I probably could have finished it within 2 months, a month. Honestly, if you sit down and do it, you can probably do it in like a week. But I took my time, and I took like 6 months to actually do it. From December to June, maybe even May. It took me from like December to May to actually complete it. But I did my portfolio multiple times because it was ugly at first. I was very basic. I didn't really think outside the box. But I redid it and I sent it to him. He's like, okay, this is good. Sorry, this is the one. So I sent it, and then I had to send all my extra paperwork. And because I had a low GPA and a low SAT score, I had to send in my current grades. And then like me, I graduated from alternative high school. So it was a lot of different things I had to go through to get accepted, but it all worked out really great. Another thing is how much it costs. So Fidm is about $32,000 a year. Yes, a year for like an AA. But I can say I was prepared. I didn't have a bunch of scholarships. I didn't have a high GPA. I didn't have like extra money coming in. So when it was time for college, I was prepared to have to take out loans. So for me, it wasn't bad. And at least with Fidm, the in-state tuition and out-of-state tuition is the same. The only difference when you're out-of-state, you pay a $150 fee. Why? I don't know. Just for being an out-of-state person, out-of-state student, you pay $150. So that's another thing. And for Fidm to actually send you an acceptance letter, you pay $200. So all in total, for before you can even like get an acceptance letter to say, hey, you're in Fidm, you pay the $25 fee, you pay the $150 fee if you're out of state, then $200 to hold your spot. When I was applying though, my admissions advisor, he kept telling me, pay the $200, we need to know we have space for you. But they have space. They're just trying to like make you pay that $200. But once you pay that $200 is when they'll actually send you that acceptance letter, say, hey, congratulations, you're in Fidm. So, which is like because if you do end up wanting to go to another school, you cannot get that $200 back. You can't get that $150 back. All that money, you don't get it back. So that's one thing I wish I would have known, because I mean, I never second guessed Fidm once I heard from Fidm, but for me, I had such a low GPA opposed to a lot of people who were applying from what my knowledge. So I was very like, don't know if I'm gonna get it, don't know if it's very shaky. But once you do that, you're all good. And for me too, I only had one scholarship. It was small, it was $1,000, which I'm still grateful for. But my scholarship would not give me, they wouldn't give me the scholarship until I showed my my acceptance letter. And I was planning on using the money from my scholarship to help me pay the $200. So it's like but I mean, it is what it is. I end up paying and it's all good. Another thing is housing. So I do not do student housing. So student housing is made up of about 4 apartment buildings that are located right around the school area. One's like a little farther, that's the Medici, there's G12, there's the Met, and there's another one, I don't remember. But yeah, there's about 4 apartment buildings that are located right around Fidm. The thing about student housing, you have a roommate, or you can pay to have your own room. And there's 4 people to an apartment. They're 2-bedroom apartments, and they come fully furnished with Wi-Fi and full kitchens, washer and dryers, and these luxury apartments that give you pools, gyms, everything. My personal opinion is that it's not worth it. I didn't do student housing, 1, because I'm just not a fan of having a roommate, and 2, for the price you pay for student housing, you can definitely have your own apartment. Like, definitely. Student housing, you pay about $1,200 to $1,300, I know it's going up, to share a room amongst someone else, and your whole apartment has 4 people. So it's 2 people in a room, 2 people in a room, and the apartments are not that big, to be honest. So to me, the $1,400 just isn't worth it, and I wouldn't pay that. I live about like a 5-minute drive from Fidm, but I live 1 train stop over. So to me, it's much better. I pay $850. I have a really small studio, but It's good for me, and because I live alone, I don't have to worry about people. You know, student housing, you never know who you're going to be placed with. You don't know a lot of the girls. Of course, it's a growing experience, and that's all the college experience is about. But me personally, I said, no, no, thank you. Two, I do feel like that's a ripoff because 1,400 per person. Even when you split like the rent between everyone, it still doesn't even out to like 1,300-ish or whatever they pay. So personally, me, I wouldn't do that. And when you're doing student housing, you have to, for the first 3 months, you must pay the 1,300. 1,300 times 3, 3,600, 3,900. I'm off with the numbers, but you have to pay that out of pocket. Fidm allows you, with your loan, okay, so here's another thing. With your loan, that if you take out a Parent Plus loan through Fidm, there's something called a living expense check. So you ask for about, roughly people ask for 9,000, 10,000, 5,000. You ask for that money to live. So a lot of people use that and just pay their housing and stuff with it. But the thing is, the first quarter, you have to pay your housing out of pocket. So even though you take out that loan for Fidm, from Fidm, you cannot use that to pay your first quarter of housing. So 3 months worth of housing, the 36, 39, however much it comes up for people, you have to pay that out of pocket. So that's just like a friendly reminder that I wish I would have known too, because I was planning on doing student housing because I moved from New Jersey. So moving from New Jersey, I didn't know anyone. I was moving across the country. So the safer thing for me to do was to do student housing. But when I looked at the prices and I had to pay out of pocket, and I personally at the moment, my parents couldn't afford to just pay 3,000 all at once, because I was paying for extra things like the flights, the going back and forth to Fidm, to view Fidm, and my parents just didn't have it. So, and then for me too, I kind of chose to go to Fidm like last minute. Even though I took all that time to apply, I still was like, I don't know. And it probably wasn't until like May, June, probably even July that I was like, okay, I'm going to Fidm. So I had August, September to come up with $3,000, and it just wasn't worth it. And another thing about student housing is, okay, student housing is made up of 4 different apartment buildings, and they have the option to change you every single quarter. So you can have a new roommate every single quarter, which is annoying. They can swap you from building to building. They don't help you move your stuff, so you're responsible for moving all your stuff, even if you're only going up and down the stairs to another building. Oh, that's annoying. I like the security of having my own apartment. The only thing is, when it's time to go home, or not even when I want to go home, when I want to go like different places for periods of times when I'm on break, you know, when you have your own apartment, you still have to pay your whole rent for the month. At least with Fidm, the housing, it works on the quarterly basis. So you get to move out, move back in, move out, move back in. But then again, you're gonna need storage, because say a lot of people who go to Fidm, it was like 50-50. Half of them are from California, half of them are from somewhere else. So you have to remember, you have to be able to put your stuff somewhere when you lost for words. When you are in student housing and you want to leave for a while, you're gonna have to put your stuff somewhere. Luckily, I have my own apartment, so I never have to worry about that. And my friends, like, I have a small studio, but if my friends need somewhere to put their stuff, I'm like, you can just do it at my house. So, you know, you have to build trust with people, because you don't know people. Not everyone is bad at Fidm, but not everyone is good. So that's just something you have to know. Okay. And with classes, so Fidm is on a quarterly basis, so that's something that's different. When I was applying, you know, I graduated high school in June, so they gave me the option to start in July or October. Me personally, I decided to start in October, so that's the fall season. I started in October 1, mainly because of like money, because I wanted to save more money before it was time for me to actually move. And around that time, I was graduating high school. My parents moved out of state as well. My mom moved out of state. So I kind of had to like figure things out. I still had things to figure out back home before it was time for me to move. And I kind of knew, once I was looking at the prices for student housing, stuff like that, I knew that I didn't want to live in student housing. So I had to take my time, and I didn't visit Fidm until June of my senior year. So literally right before I graduated. I think I went to go visit Fidm June 3rd, and I graduated June 17th or something like that. So I didn't really get to see, so it gave me time to look at the area, see where I was at, see what the school is like. So that was me personally. And Fidm runs on a quarterly basis, so it's 10 weeks on and 2 weeks off. Sometimes the weeks fluctuate. It'll be like 11 weeks, and you'll get like 3.5 weeks, or 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks. I guess it depends on what the calendar is. And then for like holidays, they still they like excuse holidays too, so that's another thing that's really good. But they'll move holidays, so say if a holiday's on a Friday, but Friday classes they'll have 9 classes, they'll move the holiday to Monday, so everyone has an even amount of classes, if that makes sense. So that's one thing. The classes are 3 hours, which isn't bad, because 3 hours once a week, it's not that bad. And honestly, over the time, you get used to it. And most instructors don't go the whole 3 hours. And if they do, it's probably a lot of information. And in every class, you're supposed to take a 15-minute break, so which is good. And then some classes, honestly, are more serious than others. So at least you can kind of like goof off, and you can text in the back, or like you can have like what I do sometimes. I have my laptop and I look like I'm paying attention half. I'm like, yeah, but I really be like typing and like on the internet. So that's one thing about the classes. Another thing too is you're gonna take like your general study classes, but they're very, very easy. Like the math class, I think it was college mathematics, was the equivalent of 7th grade algebra to me. But the thing about it is, it's like, okay, I paid $30,000 a year to take this math class, but then when I went to my second math class, which was merch math got harder, because now you're trying to do the math of like clothing and network and price retail. So that got a little more challenging, only because there are a lot of different notations that you have to remember. And then even for like my first English class, it was very, very easy. And the teacher was new as well. So it was just like and she just talked like this the whole entire class. So it made the class go by like really long. But my second English class was really, really, what's a nice word? It was really easy. I had a better teacher. She was really nice. But over the 10 weeks of class, we worked on one paper. So like every week we like developed a new part of the paper. So for a lot of people who are like smart, or you don't even have to be super smart, just if you have like, we've all had to write college essays in high school, write essays in high school in general. So it doesn't take 10 weeks. You can definitely do it within a couple of days. It's a little lengthy, but you could definitely do it in a couple of days. So that's the thing about some of the classes. And Fidm, within that $30,000 though, all your supplies is included. That's like a good thing. But I mean, you do pay $30,000, so it's like, you want me to pay $30,000 and pay for books? No. But Fidm includes everything. So as soon as you start the class, when you registered on your first day, they hand out the books. You go and get them with your ID and everything. So that's a good thing. And I'm talking paintbrushes, rulers, flash drives. They give you everything that you need for that class. And at the end of the quarter, you're able to sell those books back. So don't damage your books. That's something I wish I would have known. The people at Fidm are, it's like a hit or miss with the people. You either really like them, or like you really don't, or you just don't care. Me personally, I think some of the people are pretty weird at Fidm, but a lot of artists are weird. You know what I'm saying? A lot of artists um, don't they don't socialize a lot, or the people who do socialize, you're like, I don't really want to hang out with them. It's a weird vibe, but LA itself is a whole nother like vibe. It's very different. It was very different from the East Coast. It was very different from the East Coast. So, I mean, the people, it takes time to like truly find like your niche at Fidm. The thing about Fidm, it's harder to make friends because school is only on a 10-week. It's only on a 10-week schedule, and so you're constantly like meeting new people. You're constantly doing new things. So it's kind of hard to like latch on to friends. You either have to really bond with them in the 10 weeks or you don't, because half the time you'll probably never see them again, or you'll run into them, but by that time you guys are two different people. So it's like one of those. Too, Fidm doesn't have like a lot of black people. That's number one. There's not a lot of African Americans at Fidm. So me personally, when I do see African Americans, I'm like, hey sister, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, or even like the guys, I'm like, you come here. So that's like it's very diverse though. Of course, I believe, well, how do I say it? The Caucasian population is definitely bigger, but there are foreign exchange students from China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Dubai, everywhere. So they're very diverse. Fidm is a very, very diverse school. You definitely learn a lot of different cultures, a lot of different things. You see how people adapt and how people are different. So Fidm is like, it's really, really good for that. I think it takes time for you to become friends with people though, because everyone's so different. It's definitely not what you think of too. And unlike dorms, Fidm has the apartments. So in your apartment, you're gonna only be used to those like 3 people, you know what I'm saying, that you live with. And the thing about the student housing is like, it's in actual apartment buildings. So your neighbors can be some grown men that work in downtown LA. They won't be like the girls in like they won't be the girls at Fidm. Like they're in the building, but they're scattered around the building. So that's the only thing. When it comes to making friends. But one thing I wish I would have did, in like the first quarter, I wasn't that social. I didn't really do much, and even like now, I still never joined any of the clubs. The clubs don't appeal to me, honestly. They're not like I want to join. Me more personally, I would rather work actually in the industry and start to like get my foot out there and start to network and stuff outside of school too, because you can spend like the whole time of Fidm working in school, but when it's time to get out of school, you won't have any connections, relations, like, you know what I'm saying? So that's me personally, but I do wish I would have socialized a little more, try to connect, even if they don't connect back with you, at least you know you say, I tried, and meet new people. The second quarter, I definitely started to talk to like everyone. I made more friends. I started to, me personally, I do hair, so I started to promote myself better. I just started to talk to people more, and I think my time at Fidm became way more enjoyable. My first quarter at Fidm too was a little more difficult because I moved from New Jersey and I didn't know where I was gonna live. I just kind of went out there on like a effort, like let's do it type of vibe. So I was still like moving into my apartment, trying to find things, trying to know where I was gonna work, try to keep, it was just a lot for me. So second quarter, I definitely like socialized more. I had different jobs. I do recommend joining Fidm to work. I worked my whole way, and I'm still working too to this day, and I'll work until it's time for me to graduate. But work. I had multiple different jobs, like literally a ton of jobs, because one, I wanted to meet people, I wanted to get connected, but the biggest thing is I wanted to see what I liked and what I didn't like. If you never go out and try, you'll never know. And I had customer service jobs, hair salon jobs, retail jobs, a bunch of different jobs in the fashion district, outside of the fashion district. Like, I just needed to know what worked for me. So that's another thing I would definitely recommend. Two, LA is a whole nother vibe. That's another thing that I want to like emphasize. You're in the downtown LA area, and although it's like downtown LA is pretty dead, you know, but you're near like the Staples Center. There's a lot of events there. There's Hollywood, there's this and that, which are only like a couple of train stops away. So there's definitely like a lot you can do. So I think you should definitely utilize everything, and don't stay in the house. Don't stay in the house, but don't over party. Like, know your limits. Talk to your advisors. That's one thing I didn't do my first quarter, or really even my second quarter. It took me to my third quarter to actually talk to like my financial aid people, the people who help you with your classes, the people who understand you, just like different people that actually work at Fidm, your connections, your volunteering. I didn't do any of that, honestly. I didn't do any of that to my second year. Now, this is the beginning of my second year, until I really started to go out and work and volunteer at places that Fidm gave me. You know, I worked at different jobs around the Los Angeles area off of just things that I wanted to do, but you know, Fidm can get you connected. Fidm, I got to work at BeautyCon, got to go to BeautyCon for free, like things like that I probably could have been done if I actually just opened my mouth and just said, hey, I'm Jailyn and I'm a beauty major. So that's another thing you should do. Keep in contact with everyone. Don't burn any bridges, because somehow, some way, everyone is connected at Fidm. Everyone is connected. They're connected in the industry. It's just like it's an overall great school. There are so many opportunities. There are so many different things you can do at Fidm, but Fidm isn't for everyone either. I had friends who attended Fidm and dropped out because it wasn't up to their expectation, or they felt like it was too much money for things they could have done themselves. I personally love Fidm. I still love Fidm because I still attend. It's my second year now. I love Fidm, and I feel like Fidm helped me. I definitely feel like Fidm, $30,000 is a lot, and then most people need like the extra loan for living expenses. So it all depends on your preference. But me, to go $60,000 in debt opposed to $140,000 in debt, which people do times 4 years and stuff like that, isn't bad, because $70,000 isn't an unreachable number. You'll make $70,000 like that. You'll make that, especially if you truly put your all into the industry that you're going in. There are so many connections, and the greatest thing I can say about Fidm is you're so connected. You're just so connected, and once you graduate, the fact that you went to Fidm just like lands you almost everywhere. Anywhere, everywhere that you want to go. I can't say that because I've seen that a lot, and a lot of the teachers at Fidm they're still in the industry, so which is really good. So they can give you like actual hands-on experience, hands-on tips, hands-on experience, hands-on, like everything is coming straight from knowledge that they're working in every day. Some teachers at Fidm, I don't understand why they work there. I can say that too, to be honest. But most of the good ones, they're still actually in the industry and they're still working. So you'll get to not only know what they know, but constantly see the growth of the industry straight from their opinion. But yeah, that's just my little rant about Fidm, my honest review. Overall, I can say I liked it. There are moments where I didn't like it. I do like it, but overall, I would say Fidm's a really good choice. It's pricey, but if you truly like want to learn and you want to be like in that LA light type of vibe, you should definitely go to Fidm. But I'll do another video on my apartment, my day-to-day classes, what I actually do at Fidm, the easy classes, the hard classes. So if you have any questions, you can follow me on Instagram, Jailyn_Sawyer. I'll leave everything down below. Feel free to comment, ask questions.